Okay, so now we're at part 2. We've finished already our saving and our paycheck part of our spreadsheet, which we've done so far already. So we are moving on to housing next. So housing. Housing should be about 30% of your family's net income. So that's the amount of either the 2 checks added together or their original check. So you can see that that's our biggest chunk of the pie. So we are assuming that a 20% down payment has been made if we're choosing to buy a house, a 30-year mortgage with a 6% interest rate, and we have to include all items in red on our spending plan. So remember, if it's in red, that means that we have to do it. It may tell you you have a house. It may tell you you are renting. You need to look at your thing and let you know. It may not tell you any of those. So these are all included in our house if we buy: insurance, property tax, repairs, and maintenance, and our mortgage. Only choose a house available for the type of location where you live. So it will say your residence on here. Mine says a metropolitan area with less than 250,000 people. So I cannot choose a home that is not in that residential area, which I will show you in just a minute. We're assuming a deposit has been made. We have to include all items in red in our spending plan. Pets must be allowed if we have any pets. And renter's insurance is not required, but it's recommended, and it's about just under $16 a month for $25,000 worth of coverage, so it's really a worthwhile investment. These are all things that are required. We must pay power, water, and sewer, and garbage, and these are optional. Do you want to have internet, cell phone, cable, and satellite, or recycling? You may choose to do Netflix, so you're not going to use cable, or recycling might not be important, or it might be very important. So you have to think about what your family values based on their budget as well. So we will determine whether to rent or buy, select a home, and record all of our housing expenses now. So I'm going to go into Moodle again. So now that I'm in Moodle, I'm going to go back into my student notebook info, and I'm going to scroll to find housing. So paychecks is all first, and then here is some housing information. So here's some more about what's all included, which was all in the PowerPoint, but you can look through that as well. These are all the pieces that need to be included in our housing. And then there's transportation. So we want to stick with housing for right now. However, we need to choose a house, first of all, and it needs to be about 30% of our net income. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Excel spreadsheet. I know my net income right here is 2368.34. Yours may be higher or lower, but to figure out 30% of that, I am going to put a number in right here, and it will calculate the percent right here. So I'm going to say $700. And actually, that was a really good guess. That was 30% right there. So that means all of this should add up to be about $700. Now, that's not very much money when you're talking about paying a mortgage. I probably won't be able to find a house to buy in that range, but I should be able to rent. And I would put rental fees in here then. And then if I'm going to get renter's insurance, and I can see if some of those things are included. So I'll just leave that there for now. I'll go back into my presentation, and if I scroll through here, I didn't want to print this. There's so many pages and lots of paper to print. But I'm going to get under paychecks to get to about page 15 or so, right here, houses to purchase. So I'm looking at the mortgages. Remember, everything in red you have to include. So when I look at all these mortgages, the only one that I could afford would be this one right here, $527 a month. But when I add up all these things, I can look at these numbers. It's going to be well over $700. So that's not going to work. I could possibly buy this one. It says I have to be in a metro with population under 1 million, which I am. So I could buy this one. Or I could look at just renting. These are more to purchase. And I can decide, is it more important to me to buy or to rent? So I am going to buy house H. that should be in my budget. It is got 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. I am married, I don't have any children, so that should be a good amount for me. Location is anywhere, so I know I can do that. So I'll put 287.78 in my Excel spreadsheet for my mortgage. And I will go back and look at my other fees. That was 0.78. 18.96 is my insurance. Switch that up. My taxes were $93.50 and repairs were $100 a month. So I'm going to change, by typing that in, I typed over my formula. So to do a formula, I can do equals sum, beginning of parentheses, and highlight this whole row. So it will keep a running total for me. So I'm only at 500 right now, but I do need to include power, water, sewer, garbage. So I will go back in here, find out how much those would be. There's more houses to rent, so I could look through all these things first. Power is 7 cents per square foot, and my home was 1,032 square feet, which it told me right here. So I'll do a formula for that in my Excel spreadsheet. Equals 1,032 times 0.07. So $72 for power. Go back in here, find out my other costs. Remember, you must include power, you must include water, sewer. $16.85 per person, so there's 2 of us, so I will double that. And garbage is $17.50 per month. So I'll put garbage in right away. $17.50. And water sewer is going to be $16.85 times 2, I believe. So I still have a little bit of room to get to my 30%. Now is where I could look at these other costs. Maybe I don't want a home phone, but I do want a cell phone. I think most people would use a cell phone, so I think I'll include that for sure, and then I'll look if I have to give up cable or internet or anything like that. So cell phone, I can do it this way. I will probably have to do the smaller plan, $39.99 a month, and add $10 per line. So we'll say $49.99 per month. Now I'm not getting as much talk time as I would like, and most plans are different than this now, but it kind of gives me an idea of where to work with. So internet would put me over my budget. I could do that and go over just a little bit, or I could keep it low. So how would I do internet? Or actually, I'd have to add that much to my phone to add internet phone. That I probably can't afford. Actually, maybe I will do that. $49.99. So that would make this total, we'll just say $100. So I'm at 31% of my budget, but maybe that is the most value to me, and I can always adjust my budget as I keep going, but right now that's pretty important to me. So that's housing. That's where we'll stop with this presentation.